Trade rumors are escalating. There is no way New York actually does this. The Rangers are top heavy and looking to lengthen out their lineup this season. Will we see a young player with star potential traded to a rival? I break it down here in just a moment on another sizzling edition of Rangers Digest. Welcome back to Rangers Digest. We are built for blue shirt fandom, and I am your host, Bret Botfeld. It is great to be back with you guys on this beautiful Monday, the 28th of July. And before we get into today's video, a quick reminder that about 77% of you who currently watch these videos are still unsubscribed to the channel. So please hit that free subscribe button down below so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. Not only that, guys, so you can be part of something special here at Rangers Digest. Let's waste no more time and hop right into today's video. As you can see, the New York Rangers failed to make the playoffs last season and have shaken up their roster this offseason, but they may not be done. Heavy.com proposed a deal that would see the Rangers trading former first overall pick Pascal Lafreniere to division rival Columbus Blue Jackets in an intriguing deal. So you guys are probably wondering, what are the Rangers giving up in this blockbuster? Trading Pascal Lafreniere, what would the Rangers be receiving? We're going to break that down right now. Alright, the proposed deal would be a blockbuster as New York would acquire 2 young players and a mid-round pick for Lafreniere. New York would acquire Derick Madachuk, who's a 21-year-old defenseman who can play in the NHL and add some youth to the lineup. He was selected 12th overall in 2022 and has 2 years left on his entry-level deal. Madachuk appeared in 45 games, recording 4 goals and 9 assists for 13 points, as he would add some offense to the back end. This comes from Cole Shelton, writer for Heavy.com. As you can see, Madachuk, the first piece of this deal, certainly an intriguing young player, an offensive-minded defenseman. We're going to get into the good and bad when it comes to Madachuk right now. Alright guys, this is a left-handed defenseman, obviously a position of need for the Rangers. You saw them bring in Vladislav Gavrikov, which is going to be a huge boost on that left side. Hopefully transitioning Braden Schneider to the left side will be a smooth transition as well. But nevertheless, Madachuk would be bringing, that left-handed ability that the Rangers so desperately need. He stands 5'11", 185 pounds. As you can see here, a former first-round pick, 12th overall in the 2022 NHL Draft. Let's talk about the good first. So, Madachuk led all WHL defensemen in points per game during the 2023-2024 season with the Moose Jaw Warriors. He had 75 points in 52 games. He won the Bill Hunter Memorial Trophy, recognized as the top defenseman that season. Not only that, guys, this is a player that has had success at every level. Let's not forget, basically a point-per-game player in the AHL and recognized this past season by the NHL as they put him on their 2024 All-Rookie team, the 2024-2025 All-Rookie team. So this was certainly a player that showed some pop and sizzle last season, but it's not all good when it comes to Madachuk. Now let's break down the bad. Alright guys, an undersized defenseman, especially by Chris Drury standards. Chris Drury tends to like bigger, meatier defensemen. Not only that, guys, but since he is an offensive-minded defenseman, what tends to happen is he takes too many risks. Takes too many risks for his own good, for his own team's good. It has a negative impact on the game. Because when you take too many risks as a defenseman, what tends to happen is it leads to a turnover, leads to an odd man rush, and then leads to a goal for the other team. And we saw that happen all too often this past season with a guy like Keandre Miller, who had nearly had 100 turnovers, just absolutely mind-boggling. And the reason I bring up his name is because the Rangers received a huge piece from Carolina in that deal, Scott Morrow, but he himself is an offensive minded defenseman. So the Rangers need to be careful when it comes to adding too many offensive-minded defensemen, because let's not forget, this was one of the worst defensive teams this past season. So the Rangers need to get back to the basics. They need to bring in defensemen who specialize in playing defense. You know, it's great that they brought in Scott Morrow, and it's great that they have some players like Schneider, Foxy, obviously, who can score. But you're starting to, tread that line of bringing in way too many offensive-minded defensemen when your defense was really, really poor this past season. Let's break down the other aspects of this deal. What else would the Rangers be receiving? All right, guys, the Rangers would also receive Igor Chinov, who would help replace the void of Lafreniere. Chinov has requested a trade from Columbus, as he would likely have a bigger role with the Rangers. He has 1 year left on his 2-year, $4.2 million deal. The Russian recorded 7 goals and 8 assists for 15 points in 30 games. This also comes from Cole Shelton, writer for Heavy.com. All right, guys, Chinov, very interesting. Darius and I have spoken about this player on the channel, as the Rangers have been rumored to have some level of interest in him. There is some good when it comes to this player. There is some bad, but the bad is very concerning, and I'm going to break down why right now. All right, guys, so this is a player also young, just 24 years of age. He is a right wing, which is a position that I've said the Rangers need some more scoring punch at. Obviously, you'd be swapping out Lafreniere and Chinov in this situation, but right wing is certainly a position of need. He stands 6 feet tall, 201 pounds. He was drafted 21st overall in the 2020 draft, which is interesting because that's the year that Lafreniere was drafted. So the good when it comes to Chinov is you'd be getting another fast skater. He has an electric shot. That's what he's known for. Could certainly be a boost on the power play, getting back on track. Can certainly cause chaos shooting from the circles on that power play. And the Rangers need to get back to their bread and butter. Let's not forget when they won the President's Trophy during the 2023-24 season, 2 wins away from a Stanley Cup. I mean, they were third in the entire National Hockey League, behind Tampa Bay and Carolina, on the power play. So the Rangers need to get back to their bread and butter. Now, the bad when it comes to Chinov, he simply can't stay on the ice, guys. Just can't stay on the ice. The last time he played more than 53 games in an 82-game season was in 2021-2022. That was a long time ago. That was his rookie year. He's had a ton of back issues, which is concerning, especially in such a grueling sport. Like I said, this is a guy that simply can't stay on the ice, and he tends to be soft. He tends to be soft out there, and I believe a lot of that has to do with the fact that he is injured so often and probably doesn't want to risk putting his body in harm's way. But the Rangers can't afford to, add any softies. The Rangers need snarl. The Rangers need physicality, and these 2 players from Columbus, they don't bring that physicality. But Chinov certainly is an interesting aspect of this deal. All right, so in return, as you know, the Rangers would deal Lafreniere. He hasn't lived up to the expectations of being a first overall pick. We know that. He's just about to enter the 2nd year of his $52.15 million deal. The 23-year-old was selected first overall in 2020 and would be a top liner for the Blue Jackets and add some much-needed offense. He recorded 17 goals and 28 assists for 45 points in 82 games. Although New York signed Lafreniere to that 7-year extension, his name came up in trade talks. Rangers insider Larry Brooks of the New York Post reported before the draft combine that New York had discussed Lafreniere in trades. And guys, Lafreniere is coming off a poor season. He started last year off like a bat shot out of hell. He looked like he was in line to have his best season yet. And then Chris Drury paid him, and we saw the production decline after that. We saw the effort decline after that. And here's what Lafreniere had to say about this past season. I struggled to be consistent in my game and didn't really make a difference. I'm obviously disappointed in my year. We can have a long summer. We can work on a lot of stuff and come back next year and have a big year. The Rangers are certainly going to need Lafreniere to have a big year because, like I said, the Rangers have some depth up the middle. They look pretty good at left wing with Panarin, Cooley, Bret Botfeld. But that right wing position is an area that needs scoring punch. And Lafreniere needs to provide that. Now, I hold out hope because when the Rangers won the President's Trophy, that first line was one of the best in the entire NHL with Lafreniere, Trocheck, and Panarin. Even this past season, when the Rangers were awful, that line produced. In 60 games together, they outscored opponents 36-28, so still an effective line. But at the end of the day, the Rangers would also receive a third-round pick here in 2026. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't, pull the trigger on this deal. And the reason why is because if the Rangers were handicapped here when it came to cap space or something like that and needed to move Lafreniere's contract, I would certainly consider it. But the Rangers are still going to have a ton of cap flexibility next offseason in that loaded free agent class. And if Lafreniere lives up to his potential, that contract that he's on right now will certainly look like a steal. Like I said, a can't-miss prospect in 2020. But guys, he has to prove it. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Would you guys pull the trigger on this deal? What are your expectations for Lafreniere this upcoming season? And if you haven't hit that free subscribe button, hit that button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. Enjoy the rest of your day on this beautiful Monday. We'll see you here tomorrow. Take care.